today's tale. Brandon, hello, good evening. Sister Holly, Katie, Susie, Brother Matthew, Father Simon. There I was in the early 1980s, says Brandon, trying my hardest to transfer from Her Majesty's military police to the equally majestic, revered and possibly the finest service personnel to draw breath. They are the Army Physical Training Corps, based in Aldershot, the home of the British Army. As I'm sure you're aware, and you can well imagine, completing unbelievable amounts of PT every day makes one a tad peckish. You can just imagine these guys, as I imagine they were exclusively. Big guys needing a lot of food. Digressing slightly, Father Simon, during my course I travelled 30 miles every Friday home to Chichester and Monday morning back to Aldershot. I often used my wife's car. She had an old-style 1973 midnight blue Fiat 500. Ooh. Our other car was a big old Granada, so no contest petrol-wise, but it was somewhat difficult to fit 4 massive PT instructors into an old-style midnight blue Fiat 500 back and forth to the gym. So anyway, on the night in question, off we toddled late one night to the Chinese takeaway, complete with a 6'7" basketball player, co-student, in the passenger seat, whose name was Magic. The colour of the tiny little Fiat, as I mentioned, was midnight blue. And for any of the uninitiated, this is a very dark blue. It's a very rare model as well, and very stylish in its own compact way. We parked the car around the corner from the takeaway because there were no yellow lines there. And off we went in an attempt to fill our grumbling stomachs with large amounts of whatever sounded fabulous. Now, as I mentioned, this car is extremely rare. Still is, of course. Very rare to see a Fiat 500, let alone a midnight blue Fiat 500. We were very proud of it, looked after it lovingly. Pride and joy is what I'm saying. So imagine my chagrin, which is a posh word for shock and annoyance, when I see my car being stolen by 2 people who were making their getaway very slowly. It is a lawnmower engine, after all, from the side street. Are you actually kidding, as we didn't say back then?
No, we didn't.
What the actual heck? Yes. They started to pass us as we were leaving the takeaway with our hands full of said takeaway. As a nearly qualified Army PT instructor, I'm sure your listeners can imagine, I was pretty quick off the mark. So I shot across my half of the road and launched myself onto the postage stamp-sized bonnet of this tiny car, and I tried to smash the windscreen with my head to halt the robbery in progress, and hopefully have a little chat with both of the occupants, who looked like a dangerous couple to me. Bash went my head on the screen. Gangster number 1 looks petrified. Bash goes my head again. Now gangster number 2 looks scared. Bash, bash, bash. Now I looked a little harder. This couple of thieves look a bit old for this kind of lark.
Oh, no.
In fact, they look like pensioners. Anyway, They stopped the car. By this time, I'm wondering if I've got this all right.
No.
Sid and Doris, who were in the car, asked me what I was up to. I said I was stopping a robbery and they were the robbers. Sid said, no, we're not. This is our car. I looked inside. I saw a can of travel sweets.
Oh, no.
This was definitely not my car. So imagine my horror to discover there is or was another midnight blue Fiat 500 in Aldershot. What are the chances? I apologise profusely to the couple who must have thought there was an axe-wielding crazy guy on the loose. They quickly drove off, quickly for a Fiat 500. And all was well except for the spilt sweet and sour chicken on the bonnet and, of course, my very sore head. You'd think a PT instructor could break a windscreen with fewer than half a dozen blows, wouldn't you?
No.
Anyway, these Italians make good car glass. It sounds unbelievable, but 100% accurate and true, and no alcohol was involved either, which I know is probably a surprise to you guys. Please, I beg forgiveness, please, from Sid and Doris, who were simply out going for a drive in their tiny little itsy-bitsy midnight blue Fiat 500. I am not likely to be forgiven by anyone else, but I thought it was worth a try, and I thought I would fall at your feet and ask for your forgiveness. Well, it was like a scene out of a sitcom with a very large PT instructor diving onto a small car and bashing the windscreen with his head. Sister Holly, Susie, Katie.
Oh, it's a really tricky one today because Brandon, I thought good on you. You were going for it. They'd stolen your car. I was rooting for you, frankly, with the bashing the head and all of it. I was really compelled. And then, of course, it wasn't actually yours. I do feel very sorry for Sid and Doris, but I'm hoping I'm hoping they're over it now. It was the early 80s. It's been a long time. And maybe it's towards the end of the week. I'm just feeling a bit more in the mood for forgiveness. And I think I maybe forgive you, Brandon, because actually, you know, you didn't know. Oh.
Sorry about that. That was a little edit on the move.
Yeah, I think I forgive. Yeah.
Sister, a brother from another guy.
Yes, I mean, what really pushes this one over the edge is the decision to try and headbutt your way into the car. Wow, through the
He's
through
a
the
PT
windscreen.
instructor. Come on.
Clearly. I mean, overestimating his own strength there. I'm going to forgive because my instinct is Sid and Doris will have dined out on the story of the PT instructor who tried to get into their car through the windscreen using only his head. And there is a story to regale friends of Sid and Doris for many years to come. And for that reason, I choose to forgive.
Bit of a waste of sweet and sour, but I understand the point you're making. It's the people